I'd like to welcome everyone to the Emmaus Borough Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have personal appeals, part 1. Does anyone have a personal appeal? If you have a personal appeal, please sign in, state your name and where you're from, and you have 5 minutes for your appeal.
Start.
Sure.
Thank you guys for your time. Michael Irwin. I'm the chair of the Emmaus Main Street Partners. I just want to do a little recap. We did the Farewell to Summer Festival a couple weekends, or the weekend before, and Ashley couldn't be here tonight, so I just wanted to give you a little recap of what went on. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the help from the Public Works. They got us cones, traffic blinkers, safety being a priority for us. We had no injuries, so that was a help for that. Also with the Public Works, helping with the trash, cleaning up afterwards, the horses and stanchions to block things off. We really appreciate the help. We had about 50 vendors. We had really good feedback from the vendors. We did a lot of crafts this year with trying to bring families and kids to do different things. We had a lot of interesting little vendors, and the feedback was a lot of them want to come back next year, so we think we're on to maybe a little change in our forum to have that involved, so we're hoping that'll grow from next year. We also had a partnership with the Emmaus Heritage Festival so that we could kind of cross-promote with them and try to capitalize on having crowds from both people, and I feel like that was a pretty good success for us. Other than that, it just went really well, and if we have any feedback from you, we certainly would appreciate it.
Thank you for the update.
Thanks.
It was a fun event. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a good crowd. It was great weather.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things, the feedback that I received was that was probably the most well-attended event in the downtown that people have seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we stretched it a little further this year, which, you know, trying to get so that there was no vacancy between us and the Heritage Alliance down there, so.
There was a mixed reaction on the tents on the side of the road. You know, a lot of people loved it. A lot of people were like, is that safe?
It's tough. I mean, being able to slow down the traffic certainly helped, but it doesn't slow down everybody, and
right.
Even cars at 25 miles an hour still feel
But
like
it was,
fast.
I mean, it really showed, though. I mean, it was a really neat event. A lot of people really enjoyed it.
Good. Well, we appreciate your help on it, and we hope we can make this a little bigger and better attended next year. Just going to sign in real quick.
Does anyone else have a public appeal? All right, hearing none. Community Minute. I would like to just bring up our first dumpster day. First of all, I'd like to thank our borough manager, Shane, for bringing it here to this borough. He had done this previously at his Berwick, where he was previously, and extremely successful. We were hoping for what, 200-300 cars, Shane? We got 578.
Something like that.
Something,
Mr. Ships is going to run that down later on as far as
all right.
that. Yep. So we won't ruin it for him.
No, that's all right.
I'll let you give the stats. But there are about what, 4,200 homes in Emmaus?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yep.
So that's like 1 out of every 8 homes came there. So that's fantastic. And then of course we have our hazardous waste coming up in 2 weeks. So. Well, a little less than 2 weeks. So that's all I have. Anybody else have a community minute to bring forward?
I do. So I received an email today from Jim Hess, the Director of Development at the Wildlands Conservancy, excuse me, and they are having a volunteer planting day on Saturday at the Emmaus Public Library. And he is reaching out for council and any members of the audience or groups that are represented here to volunteer from 9 to noon. You are actually going to do some plug planting, which will be very cool.
What is the date again?
This Saturday.
Oh, okay.
And if anybody does want to participate, just go to the wildlands.org website and sign up.
What did you say they were planting?
Trees. Mm-hmm. To be exact, native wildflower plugs are going to be planted, as well as trees.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, that moves us to special presentations. I'd like to call Jim Baker up for Emmaus Creative Arts and Innovation Center.
Thank you and good evening. I am Jim Baker, local businessman. I'm joined by a number of folks this evening, and I'd like to identify some of them first before continuing at the presentation. I'm joined by Audrey Gardner-Racinas, the Vice President of the Creative Arts Center. I'm joined by Lisa Fischeri, COO of Phoebe, her associate, Michelle Staska Pierre, who's the Vice President of Healthcare Services at Phoebe. Jackie Parks with MKSD, right here, excuse me, interior designer, and Todd Chambers, an architect, and I believe a partner with MKSD. Those are the folks that designed your police station a number of years back. But I don't think we're going to be jailing people for this project. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a bunch of folks here, maybe they could stand briefly, that are passionate about and are responding to my invitation. Just a quick up and down if you're here on my invite. Some of them even brought their instruments and their art and what they're passionate about to share with you perhaps later. Thank you, guys. About 2 years ago, initially a small group of us, but it did swell to between 70 and 80 local citizens, began exploring a creative arts center. There were, as we all know, some vacant buildings in our community with the sale of Rodale, and opportunities seemed to be around every corner. And we've worked hard with lots of meetings. We did incorporate as a Pennsylvania nonprofit earlier this year, received our 501c3 tax-exempt status from the IRS. So we're a bona fide nonprofit in good standing at the moment. And we had a vision, and the vision was to place visual arts, performing arts, and culinary arts all under one roof, with a makerspace as an additional program under that roof, with a focus on collaboration, inclusion, all ages in the community, to see what would happen. We really felt if you put a black box theater with a makerspace that might help make the sets for the theater, or the costumes for the theater, or artists and galleries to showcase what some of the very creative people in this community can make in a place that would draw people to visit. We thought magic would happen. That's our vision. We're going to get to that. Don't be too distracted by that at the moment. But I'd like to invite Audrey for a few comments.
I am Audrey Gardner-Racinas. Most of you know me already, not because I'm famous, but because I'm old. I've been here a long, long time. I love Emmaus, and I've always wanted what was best for it. Over the years, I thought of two things that Emmaus was lacking in my mind that it needed to make it perfect. The first of those things was a senior living community. We didn't have a real senior living community. You can imagine how happy I was when I learned that Phoebe was going to take care of that for us. The second thing I always wanted in Emmaus was an arts center. I don't know, you can say I had banana factory envy or whatever, but I thought it would be wonderful to have not just an art gallery or not just a place to paint, but also a place to bring together all the arts. A theater, a dance studio, music instruction, performances, a place to make things, a place to explore technology, and an outlet for creative writing. Now I'm thrilled to be able to have helped bring this concept to Emmaus. My two wishes for Emmaus became interconnected when we learned that the new Phoebe property had an unused warehouse. I think that having this center in Emmaus will help keep Emmaus an exceptional place to live. I am happy at this point to introduce to you Lisa Fischeri, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Phoebe.
Thank you, Audrey. Good evening, everyone. It's delightful to be here this evening before the Emmaus Borough Council, and I'm here, just one of us representing Phoebe, to express our excitement and joy in having this partnership develop with the Emmaus Creative Arts and Innovation Center. We could not possibly think of a better use for the warehouse on the beautiful campus. And I think most importantly, we believe this will greatly benefit the residents of Chestnut Ridge in the future, but equally as important, it will benefit the citizens of Emmaus. And there is nothing we could be more excited about. Bringing and enhancing intergenerational activities in a wonderful community like Emmaus is a dream for us. And so we are thrilled to partner with the center and just excited to work on the next steps. I also wanted to express appreciation that Phoebe Ministries had for your support just throughout this, the development steps in making Chestnut Ridge a reality. And it has been is a pleasure working with you, and we look forward to the future and many exciting things to come. Thank you. I would also like to introduce Michelle Staska Pierre, who serves as our Vice President of Healthcare Services for Phoebe. And Michelle has a few words about the center.
Thank you, Lisa. Good evening. So this is very exciting news. I believe the Emmaus Creative Arts and Innovation Center will stimulate minds in this community, will promote growth, and facilitate community for all ages, not just the individuals that will live at our campus. And Phoebe is very delighted to be a part of this. I would like to introduce Jackie Parks. She is from MKSD, and she will go over the conceptual design for the center. Thank you.
Hello. MKSD has been involved with this project from its inception about 1.5 years ago. We volunteered to work with them as they explored another building, and then finally found this one. And now we are currently helping them work through a master plan to make this project real. So we have started to survey the building and study the existing conditions, and then work with them and all of their programmatic needs to fit everything in the box. So today we have some floor plans and a diagram to show all of the elements that are going to go in the building, hopefully. And we're also working through an extensive phasing plan because fundraising and that's all going to be part of it. So it's going to be a pretty complex master plan, but it's been a really fun process and something that's really close to my heart. So please let us know if you have any questions about the plans.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Are there any questions this evening?
No, but may I? I'd just like to make a comment that it really is a beautiful sight, seeing so many creatives and art advocates in the room. I know as the Emmaus Arts Commission, it's always been a dream to have just some sort of spot, place, and you all are working very hard to make that happen, and the Emmaus community will be the benefactor. So thank you for your hard work up until this point.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate you as well. I know this group has worked very hard. You've looked all over town. You've knocked on a lot of doors. A lot of doors have opened, some have closed, and I think the right one's finally open for you. And I'm excited. I think everybody here is excited. This is a community that prides itself on all of those things that are on that board. And I really think that this is a great next step for our community. I know that just attending the meetings that I've had with you, I know there's a lot of passion. There's a lot of passion out in that room, and it's exciting to see everyone here. I think it's going to be exciting to see this thing happen. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pepe. He's being a little modest. It was Shane that told me about the warehouse down on Phoebe's property, so he's very much part of what happened. Thank you.
I would like to also say I'm very excited about all this. Being a lifelong resident, although Mrs. Rancinas, I'm not as old as you are, but I do care about this borough just as much as you do. You know, I went to Cub Scouts with your son and ran a marathon with your daughter over the years. But anyhow, this is by far one of the most exciting things happening in this borough in a long time. So it definitely is going to bring the community together, because I know the Arts Commission, they've been trying to work towards this for, well, since they formed, actually. So congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
And thank you, Phoebe, for offering the building.
I failed to mention, you are the first to hear officially. This is our coming out tonight. Press releases are going to go out after the meeting, but I wanted you, and Phoebe wanted you to be the first to hear about it. So,
and just so you know, this is the first they actually heard about it. I just put it on the agenda. I wanted them to be as surprised as everyone else.
Okay, great.
I asked him before the meeting, what's this special presentation? He says, it's a secret, I can't tell you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, at this time I'm going to call for a brief intermission at 7:18. For photos or questions? Yeah. Press can do this.
I'm like so on. Yeah, I'm excited. I know he was in my office.
He's got a candidate that did our presentation right. I mean, I said, the one across the street.
Yeah, the warehouse.
That's pretty big, huh?
Yeah, it's a big building.
Get a black box theater in there and get theaters there. Oh,
What an exciting.
it really is.
That's going to be well used.
Too small. I know what they want for you. I said, and they'll play ball because they are community minded.
Yeah.
And they're begging for teams.
The theater, those people who go to this theater here have the town area, they have programs for because they're here. All that stuff, the music.
Plenty of parking over there. You know, like it's.
What's this?
Great spot.
Oh, wow. Is this yours, or are you being volunteered to hand it out?
Thank you.
Oh, it's for you. Yeah, he's being used.
Thank you, sir.
I noticed. That's why I'm like looking over this way.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Oh. The one losing it. Oh, okay. Really?
Usually we don't have one.
Just enough time for the press to interview, so they can get the questions answered.
What is your problem?
I'm just asking.
I saw Joyce.
Throw me under the bus.
I haven't seen her probably since council. I still have a nice note that she wrote me a really nice note when she left council.
She's the one that she wrote the press release. Yeah, she's been part of that process with us.
piece of work. Piece of work.
I make it.
You make it something, Jeffrey.
What?
The microphones are still on, so I won't say what I really think.
It hurts.
But you know, it's we're gonna impeach Roy. So.
I tried that. That's still here. I have all my
Everything was your private server.
Oh, where's my picture?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You gotta show her.
This thing's classic.
It's a classic photo. I have it.
Ah, here it is.
She's like 90 years old on that. Oh my God,
Was she a hairdresser before or something?
Yeah.
You know, her shop. Oh my God.
I was like, they keep coming out of the cold.
Oh my God. That's
I pulled her apart and I go,
probably did work.
no, they probably did work. They're worth $60 a piece.
Yeah, we're still recording.
Those are worth $60 a piece. The guy told me that. I was like, what?
There's all sorts of stuff that people do. Like, it's amazing what people hang on to or they get rid of. Hey, how are you? How are you? How are you? Good. Good. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I ran a marathon with her daughter in Hawaii.
Oh, no, like,
In Maui.
Really?
Yeah, that was my second marathon that I ran. Or third. Second or third. In the rain. Hey, it was, they were.
Hi, buddy. Oh, I had surgery. I'm good.
I said to everybody, don't get old, just get better.
Here you go.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Take care.
They were in a 6-month drought.
By the way, he's the best breakfast cook
when we ran
you will
away.
ever meet in your life. This gentleman right here,
Answer too.
the best breakfast cook.
Of course,
I've been
we're
in
not.
a cracker with them.
It's gotta rain sometime.
That when Paul and I first started going out everywhere we went, it rained. We went on our honeymoon, they get a half-inch of rain a year, and it rained when we were there.
That's what happens.
All right. Time is it? Go by borough time.
7:22?
7:25. Wait, how'd
Two
that?
is on our
Oh,
pads.
how'd that get to 25 now?
Oh,
What'd you
that's-
do?
23. It
I
says
blame
23.
him. He was playing around with
That's
it.
20.
No, it's not. You're on a weird angle.
All right. We're reconvening at 7:22 or 3, depending what clock you want to go by. Reading of the minutes. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the council meeting minutes from September 16th, 2019? Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilman Hart. Any questions or corrections on the minutes? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Decisions on bids. We had the pool feasibility study. I'll turn this over to the Parks and Recreation Committee Chairman. Sure. It's all yours?
Chairwoman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry, Shana.
That's okay.
Chairwoman Baumgartner.
Yes, so you're familiar with the desire to have our pool studied, and we submitted an RFP and got some bids. We had 4 bids, did some interviews, and had a tough decision. Ultimately, we'd like to make a motion to award the pool study to Aquatic Facility Design. They're proposing, let's see, a cost of $31,055 overall, plus 2 options for core borings and pressure testing at $5,200 for core borings, $3,600 for pressure testing, for a total of $39,855. And overall, we just felt like they were, their strength is in pools, and they have a deep knowledge of it. Our biggest concern was the structural elements of our pools, so we wanted to go with them.
And you place that in the form of a motion?
Placed in form of a motion, yes.
It's a motion on the floor. Is this a second by Councilman Anders? Any questions or discussion? I'd like to just say that just from what we had on our iPad, I read through that, and I feel that from what I read, that this fits the borough the best with what they're providing. And I support this. Although I didn't see the presentations, but from what I read, I think this is going to be great. Just the other question I had is, as far as budgeting, is this in the ballpark of where we were thinking it would be?
Yeah, with the pressure test, it's about 1,800 over, but we budgeted more than enough for it.
Okay.
The next, I mean, I think it's important to state that the next closest proposal was over $10,000 more than theirs.
Okay.
And the highest proposal was
Almost double.
$60,000 more than theirs.
Yeah, double,
So,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any other comments?
Just,
Councilman Anders?
I think all the companies did come and they provided some good detailed information. But the bottom line came down to not just the cost, but, you know, what our pools, the way they're made right now, what is underneath them, what we need to make sure they're safe and they'll be good for the future.
This company focuses on the structural integrity, and that's what, you know, when we sat around this table and talked about what do we want in a pool feasibility study, that was the number one thing that we talked about. You know, the programming will be part of the study, but the structural piece of it was the biggest part of our discussion throughout, you know, the entire RFP process. And you know, I've taken the position from the beginning that this is a company that specializes in that part of it. We need to know what's under that wading pool. We need to know if the plumbing is adequate, if this pool is sustainable for the next however many years. And this company is the company that we think can provide that.
And Shane, our pool was made in 1950 something? 52. So, I mean, it's time to get it studied and make sure that it's hopefully can last a few more years because it's not cheap to replace a pool.
Councilman Hart?
I'm not going to repeat what people have said or what Mrs. Baumgartner recommended, but I will tell you I am familiar with two of their projects, the St. Clair Pool, which is where I'm from originally, and also the Schuylkill Country Club pool, and both were very satisfied with the work that this particular group does. So I support it wholeheartedly.
Great. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Communications, we have 4 on our iPad. Darrell Wentz from the Emmaus Civil Service Commission sent us a list of certified candidates for police officer openings. Also was sent to us was a release form to remove Matthew Fischeri from the list, who is our actually certified as number 1. So we still have 2, 3, and 4 as far as candidates. So we don't have, do we have to make that official by a vote?
No. The Public Safety Committee has scheduled interviews.
Great. We received a request for reappointment as solicitor for the Civil Service Commission from Ashley Davidson and McCarthy. And then we do that on a yearly basis.
Yeah. Well, we approved their fee schedule. This will go to the Civil Service Commission to discuss and decide who they appoint next year.
And then do we have a final vote on it, or is it just up to them?
You guys would approve their fee schedule with the list, when we do the list of reappointees.
Okay.
In January.
Right.
January.
Thank you. We received a letter from Ashley Laura for the Old Fashioned Christmas event, which is a yearly event, so that will go to staff. We received a request for appointment to the Community Garden Commission from Marilyn Egner from 3rd Street in Emmaus here, North 3rd Street. And what, will that go to?
It's that we have an interview with CRD.
All right, so there's a scheduled
October
interview, and I guess we'll see something on that on the next council meeting?
Yes.
All right. Anybody else have any communications to bring forward? Hearing none. No borough engineers report. Solicitors report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mascaro finally withdrew their underlying case for injunctive relief. That case is now completely over. And the mayor had to undergo the task of hearing a rather lengthy police grievance. I believe it was Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday this week, and she will be Thursday, and she will be issuing her opinion shortly. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Unfinished business part 1, we have nothing. New business, we have nothing. Unfinished business part 2, ordinance 1193. We will have second reading November 4th meeting. Items not on the agenda. Anybody have anything to bring forward? Hearing none. Mayor's report.
Thank you. On your iPad, there are 3 proclamations. The first one is Proclamation 2019-473 for Trick or Treat Night. Whereas the Borough of Emmaus has deemed it appropriate to designate a special night in the borough as Trick or Treat Night. And whereas the children of the Borough of Emmaus are entitled to the fun and festivities associated with the observance of the Halloween trick-or-treat custom. That's going from door to door in their neighborhoods, displaying their costumes and requesting treats. And whereas the safety of these small creatures is assumed by an accompanying adult and is a source of amusement and good cheer for both the very young and older people whom they visit and entertain. Now, therefore, I, Leanne Gilbert, Mayor, Borough of Emmaus, Pennsylvania, do hereby proclaim Friday, October 25th, 2019, as Trick-or-Treat Night in the Borough of Emmaus, with all trick-or-treat activities to be conducted between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. I request that households indicate their willingness to welcome children by keeping their porch or exterior lights on, and the youngsters only call on homes that are lighted. Done this 7th day of October, 2019, in the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania.
If I may, Madam Mayor, that's also a night of a football game, but they are on the road this year, and they will be playing at Parkland, I believe. So that will be their last football game, yeah.
Okay. Also, Proclamation 2019-474, Fire Prevention Week, October 6th through the 12th. Whereas the Borough of Emmaus is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting in our borough, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and the homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire, and whereas the fire death rate per 1,000 home fires reported to the U.S. fire departments was 4% higher in 2017 than in 1980. And whereas when smoke alarms sound, Emmaus residents may have less than 2 minutes to escape to safety. And whereas Emmaus residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be likely to survive a fire. And whereas Emmaus residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take action to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2019 Fire Prevention Week theme, Not Every Hero Wears a Cape, Plan and Practice Your Escape, effectively serves to remind us that we need to take personal steps to increase our safety from fire. Now, therefore, I, Leanne Gilbert, Mayor of the Borough of Emmaus, do hereby proclaim October 6th to the 12th, 2019 as Fire Prevention Week throughout this borough, and I urge all people of Emmaus to be aware of their surroundings. Look for available ways out in the event of a fire or other emergency. Respond when the smoke alarm sounds, and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of Emmaus Fire and Emergency Services during Fire Prevention Week. Done the 7th day of October, the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. And one more.
Triple play.
This is Proclamation 2019-475, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October 2019. Whereas October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, an annual campaign to increase awareness of the disease, and whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month remains dedicated to increasing public knowledge about the importance of early dedication of breast cancer diagnosis and treatment. And whereas during this month, we reaffirm our commitment to support breast cancer research and to educate all citizens about its risk factors, detection, and treatment. And whereas this October, we encourage breast cancer survivors, those battling the disease, their family and friends who are a tireless source of love and encouragement, and applaud the efforts of our medical professionals and researchers working to find a cure for this deadly disease. And Breast Cancer Awareness Month is an opportunity to unite all citizens in our community to prevent breast cancer death through increased education and regular screening. Now, therefore, I, Leanne Gilbert, Mayor of the Borough of Emmaus, do hereby proclaim October 2019 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Done the 7th day of October 2019 in the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. That was all for proclamations. I will say, as far as farewell to summer, I missed the event, but I understand Chief Palmer volunteered to be in the dunk tank, and he did take his turn. I did see pictures of that, so. And also, Officer Whipple did speak to members of the Mercantile Club and offered safety tips of that nature, and I believe that was on the same day as farewell to summer. Not exactly sure on that, but other than that,
Safety tips on what?
everything in general. She spoke.
I thought maybe it was
nothing in particular.
drinking in the bar room or something.
Well, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay.
But other than that, I'll report progress.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Committee reports. Public Works Committee Chairman Anders.
I have nothing for official action. Did want to ask Shane, I do know Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as we just heard. Public Works had wore pink shirts in the past. Are they this year?
They are, and
Every Friday.
Town Hall will also be wearing them on Fridays again.
Awesome. I do have, like I said, nothing for official action. Our meeting will be canceled for Wednesday, and we will try to pick up in November. With that, I'll report progress.
Thank you. Health, Sanitation, and Codes Committee Chairman Shupsta. You have some
we have nothing
numbers for us.
official, Yeah, nothing for official action. Just want to, again, I want to thank Shane for organizing our dumpster day event. There's a lot of stuff that went into that. I know that Whitetail, I have to say, did an excellent job of pulling that all together. Their employees, I mean, I went in and, helped them out a lot with the electronic recycling section, and they were excellent. They were just working through this entire process, making sure everything was in the right spot. Also, the fire department and public works did a great job directing traffic and, organizing the event, putting everything in place, making sure we were safe. Great job on everyone's part. So I want to thank the staff, and I want to thank Shane for that, and also Whitetail. So statistically, we had a total of 558 vehicles come through, which was excellent. What did we estimate, 300? Shane, something like that?
We were thinking 300 was a success.
Yes, so we exceeded that.
I was panicking. I was back at Town Hall halfway through the event making copies of more education stuff.
Yeah, because, we opened at 8 o'clock and cars were already at the track, so we had to get them through. But we did a great job getting them through also. Chief did a great job getting everyone through, collecting the money that was required. We turned away only 6 vehicles, which was great. So we were checking IDs, making sure everybody was a borough resident. We collected 300 tires, so that was a full dumpster. One of the large dumpsters was filled right to the top. That was a lot of, I didn't know that people had that many tires in their yards. Car batteries, we took about 32 car batteries, and then probably a bucket of small Ds and C batteries and things like that. There was like a bucket full of those. Freon items, 106, meaning the air conditioners and other units that have dehumidifiers and stuff that had those. There were costs associated with them, but no one argued. No one had any concerns or anything about what they had to pay for.
No, and Davis Electric will be removing the Freon out of all of those. So we've contracted David's to take care of that.
Yep. And then, surprisingly, the electronic dumpsters, I mean, that was a lot of electronics.
Do we know how many TVs?
No, I got tired of picking them up. I mean, if you want a great workout and you can't get out of bed the next day because your hips are killing you, go down there and haul
every
televisions like that.
We had, 300, how many vehicles with e-waste? 337.
337 vehicles.
There were some, so I had to direct them to where they were going, and there were some that had 4 or 5 TVs.
Yeah.
Bringing them.
Yeah, and they weren't the small televisions. So
it was a history of TVs too, because just looking at the different decades that they went through.
It was awesome. Yeah. And then people were coming with stuff that you hadn't seen since the 50s.
We have a picture.
So we do have we'll keep that photograph for right now.
There was a woman who said to me she had a black and white TV. She's like, "This thing's older than you are, son."
Oh yeah, the one, I think the small one that they handed me was from the 50s. He goes, "It still works." I'm like, what am I going to do?
Well, I think the one thing that it did show us is there is demand for that electronic, the e-waste program, and we get a good crowd, every month when we have the e-waste. I think a lot of people still don't realize that we have that every month, except for in the extreme winter. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I'm hoping, as we handed out the flyers to everybody that came through, the e-waste dates are on there. So I'm hoping that they you know,
Yeah, it was
they
a-
read it and take advantage of it.
Yeah, we took metal. I don't know how much metal was in the metal dumpster. I never got to see
Yeah,
that.
there's a
And then
lot.
couches. Lots of couches came through.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a lot. I mean, the electronic dumpsters we had, when we were done, when I got done with everything I was cleaning up, there were 2 large dumpsters. I don't know how large those large dumpsters are.
Those were 30 or 40 yard dumpsters.
So we had 2 of them filled to the top.
Well, and there were skids that they had to put tarps over because they just didn't have.
Oh, I saw at the end they were putting them over
Yeah,
the top. They
there was
didn't
a
know where to
lot.
take 'em.
There was a lot of stuff there.
They had to go, because they came through where I was directing traffic, they had to go 2 times to get more pallets for the electronics because they ran out.
Yeah, and boxes. We didn't have any boxes to put the stuff in, so then we just started stacking stuff and wrapping it with cellophane. I mean, there was nothing else to do with it. They were just everywhere. Some of those things weigh a ton.
The average wait was 5 to 10 minutes.
Yep.
First of all, thank you for thanking staff. You know, our office
they did a
staff was
great
there.
job.
A bunch of the clerical staff was there, but also, you know, we had 4 council members there as well. You know, we had I'm calling him the director of traffic from now on out the road.
He was awesome.
Bringing them in, and then you know we had people taking inventory. There's a lot to it, a lot
Yeah,
of
there
logistics, and the
Jess
fact
was
that we
taking
were able
money,
to.
So
Yeah,
you
the
know.
fact that we were able to handle all of that and get them through in 5 to 10 minutes, I felt very successful, and something that we will tweak what we need to tweak. There are some things that we need to tweak, but that
Little
this will be a
bottleneck getting
yearly
out of
event.
there, but that's about it. But
Yeah.
it's tight there.
Yeah, there are some things, some areas that we need to think about.
But I think everybody in general was very happy. They all were thanking us on the way out. You know, as they were going past, they kept saying thank you. So that was really nice.
A lot of people, the comment was, "This is great," and that's like what they said the most was, "This is great."
Yep. I mean, some of them, again, and we can reiterate, I mean, we did not have the household hazardous waste, but we have it rescheduled. So we have it rescheduled, and we have a flyer. I'll get you a new flyer tomorrow. I'll send it to you with all the information on it. But it's for October 26th. Again, that's a Saturday at 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock, again at the fire training facility. So we'll have that with household hazardous waste so they can drop off that. But, and then we had paint.
Yeah, so the household hazardous waste is more like your pesticides, your oils, your oil-based paint. We'll
Yeah,
take
household
latex paint,
chemicals.
although it's not considered
It's not.
hazardous waste. We did take latex paint at the event. I think that was probably the biggest complaint was, you know, we had to cancel that piece of it at the last minute and reschedule. So there was still some confusion, which I expected.
Yeah.
Not as much as I thought there would be.
No, there was, and they were, and for the most part, when I asked them, you know, what do you have in your car? You know, if they said they had chemicals in there, I said, well, it's going to be rescheduled. They were like, oh, okay, no problem.
I saw maybe 10 to 20. I don't think it was more than 25 at most. But
They had
even
small
those they were
boxes,
just
so-
small boxes.
They were small boxes
Yeah, there was
of,
no,
like,
nobody
stuff.
bringing like a whole trailer full of chemicals.
No, we had tires and stuff like
We
that.
are still looking for outlets if people need, especially shelters or nonprofit organizations that want latex paint.
Yeah, for paint, I mean, any kind of
We're looking
project
for those
stuff. Or,
outlets. We're gonna have plenty of it, I'm sure.
oh, I know.
Either that or we're gonna invest in a lot of kitty litter.
I don't know if we want to do that, but.
So Shane, one thing that was very constant, and he has it right there, that yellow flyer, I saw so many people have that with them, you know, when they came, and, you know, they noticed it, they brought it with them, they were like, oh, I got the flyer, I'm here.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it was,
We tried to, you know, we tried to put it out to every avenue we could. You know, we tried to get to the people that love their social media or the websites. We did the phone thing. You know, the newspaper did a press release for us. You know, and we did the mailing. We did it in the newsletter.
Yeah.
I think the flyer was a big part at the last minute. I mean, we needed to do that because of that last second change.
Yeah, and then, you know, we were working like all the time. It was cars just lined up all the time. I can't imagine if we were having the household hazardous waste too. I don't know how we would have.
I know every time I thought, like, okay, it's dying down,
No.
I'd look out and it's back out to the road again.
I'll piggyback on all the positive comments that were made as I got to see everyone coming in and out. And I had about 20 people stop and roll down their windows to to thank me and us for the great job that was done. I'm happy to say I didn't cause any accidents, but the funniest one, I have to tell a story, is this one gentleman had a coat and tie on, and he went in and waited 10 minutes or whatever, drove around and came back out, and he stopped by me on the way out and said, I just want you to know I didn't have anything to drop off, but you might be careful about that next time. So he did go in to drop something off. He didn't have anything in his car.
Just wanted to check it out, huh?
Yeah, Mr. Hart was directing them all in.
Everybody go in. So we did have multiples, though.
We did.
People were coming back through, and I'd ready to hand them something and be like, I've already been here. I'm like, you're right, and you're back again.
So I just want to mention, there were only 3 times that I saw there was a break, and it was not longer than a minute. 9:36 it stopped for one second, 10:51, and 12:48, like 12 minutes before we closed. That was it. And like I said, it was like less than 1 minute. The other time, there were cars lined up the whole time. So literally for we started 15 minutes early too. So it was like 5 hours
already
and
at the tracks.
15 minutes. Yeah, they were lined up all the way to the tracks.
People were showing up at compost at 3 o'clock with TVs. And,
oh, really?
Yeah. And so after everybody left, as I was cleaning up, about 2 o'clock, I probably had 4 or 5 more vehicles that showed up. And, unfortunately, I turned the first one away, and then 4 more came after him. And I'm like, all right. I wish I would have just taken all of them, but I did empty out 4 more, just because they were there. So yeah, you probably could have gone all day with that thing, but you need to cut it off.
Yeah.
I think
we would have had nowhere to put it.
5 hours were enough.
We actually have a resident that came back and brought donuts for us.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was nice too.
They brought us some donuts. Well, because you were screwing up out front, so we didn't want to give you any donuts.
Jeez, it was my birthday too. No donuts.
Well,
yes,
Shane
it was Councilman Roy's birthday. He worked the
Shane, you
dumpster
still have those
day.
donuts downstairs?
Yeah. You want some? We'll give them to you.
What are you, 40 again?
We'll go with that. Thank you.
We'll go with that.
So yeah, it was successful. So we'll probably do it again, next year. But the next event I said is Saturday, October 26th. So we'll be doing the household hazardous waste, and our next committee meeting is scheduled for October 30th at 4:30 in council chambers. Progress.
Thank you, Chairman Schupsta. Next is Parks and Recreation Committee Chairwoman Baumgartner.
Yes, so our main focus recently has been on the pool study, which we've already discussed and decided on. So that's all that we've focused on. We did meet prior to this meeting, so those minutes are not included. We do have our next meeting November 5th at 4:30 p.m. Progress.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee Chairman Dufresne.
Just a couple things here, nothing for official action, but the ambulance department appointed Jordan Berry as a volunteer EMT. That's in your packet. Our next meeting is October 9th at 9:15. The only thing we'll be covering at that time is talking to the school district and the bus company about some safety at a stop and the police interviews. So that will be a light agenda, but the police interviews will take up some time. So other than that, I report progress.
Thank you.
May I ask you a
Oh,
question?
go ahead.
Just, I thought I saw, and it's not in here, maybe I saw it somewhere, the fire department is starting a junior program? Shane?
Yeah, so you guys had approved that last year.
Right, no, it's just neat to see that.
So they're starting to take off with that. We're working through, it's the scout program, rather than a junior firefighter program. I think they went the way of the scout program. September is really when it started, because that's when the fall scout, we want to call it season, I don't know what you call it. But that's when it gets going again. So we got it started in September, and EMS is going to partner with the fire with it. So
it's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
I think that's really great and great for the community. So I just saw that and wanted to mention it. Thank you.
Progress?
Progress.
Thank you. General Administration Committee, we just the fact that we have Ordinance 1193, second reading is in first meeting November. Our next meeting is here on Thursday at 9 a.m. Progress Budget and Finance Committee, Chairman Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one action item, Resolution 2019-34 to Borough Council to authorize payment of the bill list through October 7th, dated October 7th, and associated payroll expenses. I put that in the form of a motion.
There's a motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second? Councilman Dufresne, any questions on the bill list? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Our next meeting is scheduled for October 10th at 11 a.m. I report progress.
Thank you. Community Relations Planning and Development Committee, Chairwoman McManaman.
Thank you. Nothing for official action tonight. Our next meeting is October 17th at 4:30. I report progress.
Thank you. Junior Council Members report. Junior Councilman Jonas.
Thank you. Homecoming was on Saturday. The homecoming game was on Friday. Unfortunately, Emmaus lost that one. I just wanted to point out something that the girls volleyball team has been doing, and they've been raising money for Ed Zellner and his fight against cancer. I thought that was a great thing that they were doing. Also, tickets for our town are going on sale October 10th, and the dates for that are the 31st, November 1st, and 2nd. And that would be at 7 p.m. And then I report progress.
Thank you, Jonas. You have various board and commission meeting minutes. Looks like about 6 sets. Personal appeals part 2. Does anybody have a personal appeal? Hearing none. Borough Manager's report.
The budget is coming along slow, but you will have it on the 21st when you sit down at this table. It will be posted on your iPads, and the budget message will be at your desks. Other than that, you know what I've been up to. It was a dumpster day. Kind of consumed a lot of time trying to get that pulled off and getting the permits and all the things that we needed to do. So that's out of the way. We have a couple other projects that we need to wrap up. We're finishing up the RFP for the park study and getting that over to DCNR. Ms. Baumgartner, I'll have that to you this week to review one more time. Next week we'll send it to DCNR and get moving with that. And there's a couple other small projects that we need to wrap up in the next week or two. So other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. New zoning code official, if you haven't met him, he's working. Very highly qualified, good guy.
He was also there on Saturday.
At the event.
Yep.
He will be taking over the coordination of that event, so I'm ecstatic about that. I'm a one and done kind of guy, but I think he'll do fine for us. Otherwise, I'll report progress.
Thank you, Shane. President's business. I just want to let you guys know that we had our first ad hoc committee meeting for the building committee. We met with the architect and who was the other guy? The construction.
Yeah.
Boyle Construction. Basically, we reviewed what our original plans were. We told them what we're looking for. They are going to do a walkthrough of the building and update costs, basically, and try to get us to a point where we can start figuring out what direction we're going to go as far as financial funding it. And I guess we're expected to meet again as a committee probably after our next council meeting, maybe that week. So things I thought it went pretty well, Shane. I don't know if you want to comment on it or not, but I thought that the direction and all the questions were answered, and it seems like it's going pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I mean, as everyone's aware, at this point, it's really comes down to what's our next step, and to take that next step, we need to have clarity of what the expectations are, what cost estimates are going to be, and so we have a good understanding as to what's in front of us, so that we can make a decision to move forward.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of wishing and hoping, and it doesn't get expanded by a few $1 million. I mean, that's what it comes down to. We want to make sure that it's a reasonable cost where we can get it done. So anyhow, Any other questions for tonight? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilman Dufresne. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Meeting adjourned at 7:55.